whatever you may be going through, faith, meaning, perspective, gratitude, when you harness those, you can do anything.
Colin.
These are the options. Used to be employee. These are the options. I gotta make it to make it. I gotta make it to make it.
Welcome to the Colin with Colin show. I'm your co-host, Digital Jeff, and today's episode is about a topic we really don't discuss about, at least not enough: mental health. Especially within the entrepreneurial space, it is often a topic that gets overlooked. As entrepreneurs, we often pride ourselves in taking big challenges, grinding it out through hard times, keeping everything to ourselves. And at times it can be difficult to be open and transparent with business partners, friends, and even family. So today's episode is going to be about that, about the mindset we need, gratitude, how to look at it in different perspectives, and overcoming hard times. Today's guest is Ellie Shefi, calling in from Nashville, Tennessee. She's a very definition of tenacious, having overcome a lifetime of challenges, including abuse, domestic violence, homelessness, cancer, and a myriad of other health issues that have seen her defy doctors' death deadlines for over 2 decades. Ellie has mastered mindset, resiliency, and resourcefulness, and she has dedicated her life to empowering others. Ellie is an attorney, #1 international best-selling author, sought-after international speaker, strategist, mentor, consultant, and philanthropist. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Ellie Shefi to the show.
My question to you is, as a vet who has defied death, how have you dealt with your scars, your mental scars, your emotional scars, your physical scars, and the trauma?
Yeah, so great question. I get asked this somewhat frequently, but the answer is kind of the same. I think that what helps me is staying busy. I think the fitness has been a massive influence for me. I know, like, when you look at veterans in particular, you look at, struggling with PTSD and suicides are higher than, year over year with veteran suicide that's actually taking place based on the anxiety. I think these are all precursors of they don't know how to escape, and they're not driven anymore. They don't have something that's going to propel them and wake them up the next day. And they really need some type of focus, like a calling. In the military, I was like, right time, right place, right uniform, and there was a structure. When you leave that structure, it's no longer regimented. You have to hold yourself accountable, and that can be challenging for a lot of people. I think I've been able to cope extremely well from the military, even after getting almost killed in Afghanistan, May 3rd, 2012, into fitness modeling. And this is crazy, the irony. I got blown up in a gym, and then I turned the gym into a career. And so the catalyst of the gym almost killed me, but then 3 years later, I'm making $40,000 a month being a fitness model. It's freaking crazy. But I didn't use that as that mindset of, I'm afraid to go back in. No, it's just, I guess it's mindset and staying busy. Fitness has been always like a big influence. I've kind of, entrepreneurship has kind of taken that same route for me as well. I'm curious on your side as well, because we both use the same publicist, Zach. Big shout out to Zach, ZTPR. We've worked with him for years, and he connected us, but I know you and we've never met before. He mentioned a few things briefly, and would love to hear more about your story and how you've been able to overcome so many different things.
Thank you. Yeah, I relate to you on so many levels. Like yourself, I have defied many death deadline. I'm an abuse survivor, a rape survivor, a domestic violence survivor who has actually lived in hiding under a fake name. I've been homeless and lived in my car and eaten the food restaurants we're throwing away at the end of the night. I'm a cancer survivor and a medical miracle who has been hearing "you'll be dead by" since 2000. my first death deadline was you'll be dead by Christmas of 2000. And I've had 13 major surgeries and been defying the death deadlines ever since. So I completely, I hear what you're saying, and I align with what you're saying as far as mindset, having that mindset, having something outside of yourself, that purpose that allows you to keep going in the face of everything.
Can I ask you something real quick?
Yeah.
What was your mindset when you heard that you're going to die in December of 2000? What does that do to you mentally? Like, because that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, how can you mentally be strong and cope with hearing that? Because that's traumatizing just to hear it from you. And it's hard for me to even think, if that perspectives were swapped, how I would be able to cope with that. And now the miracle, 13 times you've heard this, every single time, I'm sure, what does that look like when you heard that for the first time? And is it different hearing it the second time, knowing that you've already overcame it once?
Yeah, the first time there was a moment of fear, a brief moment, but then I harnessed the petulant child in me. So I immediately took myself right back to, that 3, 4, 5-year-old stomping her foot with hands on the hips saying, you are not the boss of me.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Leaning into that, grabbing onto that visual and leaning into that, no, you are not the boss of me. This is, I serve a much powerful God, much more powerful God than you. I am much more aligned. I have a purpose on this earth. I have things I need to do. I'm not done yet. I will not be silenced yet. And I'm no, just no. And I've been able to lean into that kind of same power and determination again and again and again. I will say that I got weary, and I don't know if you've had this in your journey. I would love to hear if there was ever a moment when you gave up. Because as much fight as I have, there was a point in 2007 where, after 9 years of fighting, being in hospitals and 7 years of defying death deadlines, I did look up. I was laying in Vanderbilt, actually, and I looked up at the ceiling and I was like, okay, God, you win. I'm done. I don't have any more fight left. I've given you everything I have. I can't keep going.
Yeah, man, that's powerful. But 7 years to stay strong is absolutely incredible. I mean, we've Redline, my company, that's really I look at it as my baby. It's my, I genuinely enjoy it. Every facet of it, from growth stages, infancy, to where it's transitioned to date. We've shipped over 6 million products to people across the entire United States, and I can't relate from a health standpoint. From a business standpoint, we all go through kind of ebbs and flows. I've never lost the vision. I'm still just as determined as ever, but I'd be lying to say if I've ever just felt like, man, this is bullshit. I'm so tired of this. I've mentioned it several times, internally, there's a difference in I want to do this and I have to do this.
Yes.
And the mindset to push forward, even though I have to, but knowing the distance, direction, and at some point, there's going to be a point where you have to draw the line. And if you're not making those incremental changes, it will always be, I have to. And it becomes being comfortable in the uncomfortable situations. And that's where growth comes from. It comes from unknown variables. And a lot of times it's when you don't expect it. Opportunities will come if you listen. I know for me, I was stressed out when the pandemic first happened, March of last year. And I was like, man, I walked into a grocery store and I was like, seeing nothing but, I couldn't even find diapers for my youngest daughter. Couldn't go on Amazon and find them either. And that was the realization for me that, holy shit, this is crazy. And then it shifted automatically, not just to family and like, but what do I do for my Redline family too? I've got 100 employees in their family. What happens if the government shuts down tomorrow? What do I do for them? If their salary or if they're hourly and they have no clue where their next check's coming from. So I guess my mind has always been God's going to provide. And I have not had this many doors open just for them to be closed. And I'll be damned if a pandemic or some other bullshit is going to shut me down.
Yep.
The doors have not opened this far. And so my mindset, even though it's different from I feel like it is the same, but it's different because it's not an aspect of, when I almost got killed in Afghanistan, but like the sustained injuries, even though I'll have them for the rest of my life, they're not pressing to the point where I heard, you're going to die in December of 2021. Like I've never heard that. So I don't know how I could cope with that. So the closest thing that I can come remotely close to and yield some form of advice to anyone that's struggling in their life is to keep pushing. Keep the faith. Believe that there's a purpose, there's a will. If you're determined, you can push through so many different things, and you're going to be tested. You're going to be tried. And those people that come out on top, you could either give up, sit there in bed and just say, hey, screw it, I'm done. Or you can keep fighting. And that's it. Those are the two options. And if you give up, who knows what's going to happen. I mean, a lot of it is such a mental game.
It is such a mental game, and that tenacity and understanding the ebb and flow. And I love what you said about you didn't come this far. You didn't have all these doors open for them to close. And, you serve a mighty God. And for me, that day that I gave up was, I looked up at the ceiling at Vanderbilt and I said, okay, God, take me, I'm done. And moments later, the porter came to get me to take me to another excruciating test. But this time he took me down hallways at Vanderbilt that he had never taken me before. And the route that he happened to take me on that day was a route that went through the ICU where everyone was paralyzed from the neck down and on a ventilator, or they were in a coma and on a ventilator. And as I looked into room after room after room, all of a sudden I understood the message that God was sharing with me, because I looked into room after room and I thought, oh my God, what any one of those people would give to feel the pain that I'm feeling right now. Because they will never again feel pain going through their body. They will never again feel their arms and their legs and their fingers and their toes. So what an incredible gift that I can feel the pain in every cell of my body. What an incredible gift that I have synapses that are firing and nerves that are connecting and messages that can travel throughout my body.
Wow. And
I looked up and I said, okay, God, I get it. I get it. Thank you, God, for my pain.
That's a touching. You can't even see. I got a jacket on, but I got chill bumps because it's so true. Like, you don't know what you have until you don't have it. You take it away, and now you're quickly humbled by what you don't have. There's so many people that take for granted what they have. If you're listening to this podcast, you're blessed. If you're watching this YouTube channel and you have power, you're blessed. There's people around the world that would love to be in your shoes, and while you're stuck there complaining about, oh, it's thunderstorms and my satellite doesn't work, you're complaining, and your negative thoughts are a vibration to the energy or to the world that's going to bring that shift. The entire paradigm has to shift. And a lot of times I feel like I know I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God will humble you and take it away. And that's what I could not stand in being a social influencer, early stages, especially in the fitness industry. There's so many conceited and jaded people we put our shoes on the same way, la-di-da-di, everybody does. And for me, when that's taken out of context and people are not treating people right, and they're just a facade online, and I see what I see on all of these expos and people with millions of followers, like, I can't stand what that brings. And I know that it could be taken away just like that. And you have to remain humble. And there's so many people who just take for granted everything that life has right now.
Yeah.
That's what I got from that story, was like, I can't relate sitting in a hospital, but walking past after 7 years, never went through this hallway, going through ICU, your perspective shifted within minutes and saying, all right, you know what? Man, putting things into others' perspectives, walk a mile in their shoes and see what happens. Like, that's an incredible, and so true.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? We touched on mindset, but I think mindset, perspective, and gratitude are really the keys to overcoming, entrepreneurial challenge. They're the key to overcoming health challenge. They're the key to overcoming challenges that someone may be facing as a result of the pandemic. They're the same key to overcoming trauma, mental trauma, childhood trauma, whatever you may be going through. Faith, meaning, perspective, gratitude. When you harness those, you can do anything.
Amen. That's so good. That's so true too. Wow. Yeah, I think there's not enough people like that have even been faced in that ultimatum to even think about context of other people. We had Marisol Nichols down a few days ago, and she has a nonprofit, and she's helping with basically exploiting children they're selling children basically. And she's going in, and she's not just raising money for backpacks and other things for kids. Like, she's making a direct impact, kicking in doors with, Navy SEALs, FBI, Homeland, and actually going in the trenches. And, her saying, Colin, this is in every city in America this happens. And there's two major things. One is the supply, but also the demand. Why is the demand that high? There's people across this entire nation that are buying children. It's disgusting. And for me, I never even thought, from an awareness standpoint, that this is happening in my own city. It happens, and that's just disgusting. But you don't think about it until you hear it. And now it's shifted my entire mindset of God bless, this has happened. A lot of people, and I knew it happened, right? But I'm not until it's literally painted, that picture, and I've got children. It's just a hard thing to even think of. But you don't know until it's literally, you're consciously aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the United States, and it's a huge problem. And Tennessee happens to be a major intersection because all of the different highways intersect. So it's a major trucking interstate. It's got major airports. It's a major hub for a lot of that kind of thing. And End Slavery Tennessee is a major organization in Tennessee that works to end human trafficking. And of course, Operation Underground Railroad,
yes,
phenomenal. Tim Ballard and his group is an incredible organization. I support them every month, and I tell everybody about them. So
yeah, she brought them up as well. Yeah,
it's an incredible organization. And to your point, awareness facilitates a shift, and awareness facilitates action, because you can't take action if you're not aware.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let me ask you this on that topic, because that's strange. From an awareness standpoint, how would you go about educating consumers or the public? Because it could be too dark. It could also be, But I feel like that's when action is being taken place, when you can paint it that it's in your own neighborhood that this is happening. Like, I'm curious, what would be your perspective on, I know you're a well-renowned author. You're great. I mean, just hearing you speak, you're incredible. What would be your approach from an awareness standpoint to educate people that this is happening across the entire United States? What does that look like?
Well, for me, I use my own experiences. So I'm an abuse survivor, I'm a rape survivor, I'm a domestic violence survivor who's lived in hiding. As we talked about earlier, cancer survivor, I'm a medical miracle, all the different things. And so what I use is my voice. I use my story. There's tremendous power. And each and every person out there, regardless of what your story is, regardless of what you've experienced in your life or what you've overcome, your voice matters. Your story matters. And you have this incredible vessel called your body. You have this incredible vessel called your voice that you can use to share your story with others, to bring awareness to others. You can use your voice and your story to advocate for change, to advocate for action. And so I use my voice, my story. The fact that I have such a crazy story full of twists and turns, and I'm the staff attorney to a federal judge, and I'm the dean of a law school, and I'm a #1 international best-selling author and speaker, coach, and trainer. The fact that I've walked through hell time and time again, and that life has kicked me in the teeth and punched me in the gut, and every single time I get back up, and I get back up stronger with more conviction to use my voice and my life as a force for good, and with more and more conviction to share my story, to empower others with hope, with tools, with resources, with people that they can connect with organizations that can help them, or organizations that they can support, with ways that they themselves can live every single day as a force for good, in whatever avenue resonates with them, in whatever avenue aligns with their experiences, whether that's experiences of faith or experiences of entrepreneurship or experiences of overcoming trauma or experiences of excelling in a art or a sport. Each person has something amazing, and somebody in the world is waiting for you to show up as you, and someone in the world is waiting for you to use your voice and share your story and share your passion and share your knowledge and share your expertise. You have something that someone else needs. And so to the question of advocacy or action or awareness, if you are watching this, if you are listening to this, use your voice, use your story, use your resources, give of your time, give of your knowledge, give of your heart, give of your spirit. Connect with someone or something outside of yourself where you can serve. And if we all do that, then we're all shedding awareness. We're all shining light into the darkness. We're all advocating, and we're all being moved to action.
Yes. Yeah. Amen. Preach. God has something in store for you. Like, amen. I just feel it. It's bestowed. Like, I'm not trying to get all, but hearing you speak, you're not done. This chapter is not over. Your voice, being a voice for the voiceless, those that are no longer even, like, think about all the children and the trafficking that's taking place. They don't have a voice at this point, right? Advocating and being that voice that's non-existent. So I love that. Let me ask you this. I've got 2 more questions. If somebody is going through a really dark place right now, whether that's through health or maybe they've traumatized something in their life, maybe it's rape or anything else that's extremely traumatic, what would be your advice to them? And I know that's a little bit broad, but let's just say somebody's going through a really challenging point. What does that look like?
First and foremost, Be grateful. Gratitude, we've talked about it and it sounds trite, or it sounds, oh yeah, be grateful, I'm walking through hell, or I'm sitting in the depths of despair. I promise you, get out a notebook and start making a list of everything that you do have. Focus on what you have. Focus on the breath that you take, that your lung, we don't have to think about breathing. Our lungs expand and contract. Focus on the heart that beats within you without you doing anything. What a miracle. Focus on the limbs that you have, or the feelings that you have, or the sensation that you have. Focus on the food that you can eat. I've gotten, the food restaurants were throwing away at the end of the night. I've had to go and beg for food. I've taken food out of dumpsters and trash cans. I've done it. And I've never been so grateful in my life than to unwrap something, that Taco Bell was throwing away at the end of the night, because it was food. And I focused on the gratitude of, oh, thank God they had extra. Thank God they were so abundant that they had extra at the end of the night from which I could eat.
Yeah. Where does that start though? Where does that, like, because that's not like a natural thing for a lot of people. When they're going through a dark and challenging time, it's hard to think, man, how could somebody shift? Let's just say something recently happened. There has to be some type of mindset shift as well for them to break past. When you're in that state of depression, and all you can think about is like really a dark time in your life right now. I mean, it's a very hard thing to just think about what I'm grateful for versus what is going on in real life. And a lot of people will sit there and say, well, it's great to be grateful, but at the same time, like, that's hard when you don't have to deal with all of these other things, whether they're dealing with bankruptcy, or they're unemployed, or they're going through something traumatic like you have. That's a really tough thing to reframe. You're raped and in a hospital right now, to move that mindset of, I'm thankful for. How can that even happen? What would be your advice to somebody that can just shift it? Is there anything that you did that's like, that helped? Maybe it's meditating, books. Is there anything that's kind of like helped you?
I am an action taker. I've always been an action taker. So for me, it's when somebody gives me a tool, they call it a gratitude practice, because it is a practice that you can do. It's no different than practicing your handwriting when you're little, or practicing your multiplication tables. You don't have to believe it, and you don't have to embrace it. You just have to practice it. And so it's a muscle that can be trained. It's a practice that can be developed, and it shifts your focus. And so it really, really is the fastest thing. You don't have to feel grateful yet. I'm not telling you to magically, when you're in the depths of hell, go, oh yeah, everything's amazing. I am challenging you to literally take out a paper and a pen and look around. Do you have four walls around you? Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a blanket anywhere in your in your dwelling? Do you have a mattress? Do you have a pillow? Is there a refrigerator? Do you have electricity? Do you have water?
Yeah.
Do you have warm water? Do you have hot water? Do you have a shower? Do you have a toilet? I mean, go that.
Wow.
Train yourself to literally look around and inventory what you do have. It is a practice. You don't have to feel grateful, but you need to shift your focus from what you're lacking to what you have. Shift your focus from the pain or despair or hopelessness of whatever the situation is into what do you have. This goes, energy flows. And the minute you can shift your mindset to what do you have, even if it's not what you ultimately want, focusing on what you have is a pattern interrupt. There's all kinds of science behind it, and we can get into rewiring your neural pathways and all of that. Or you can just trust me and try it. You have nothing to lose. If you are in the depths of despair, if you are walking through hell, if you feel like the walls are caving in and you're feeling overwhelmed with despair and trauma and uncertainty and fear, take out a pen, take out a piece of paper, give yourself 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. Look around. Write down every single thing that you see. Write down that your limbs, write down your senses, and read it back. And when you read it back, I want you to read it back out loud. I am so grateful that I have 4 walls. I am so grateful that there is a roof on my structure. I am so grateful that I have electricity. I am so grateful that I have 2 hands and 2 feet and I can feel them. Whatever the things, write it down and read it back. Engage your senses. When you read it back, you're going to speak it, you're going to hear it, you're engaging your physiology. That is step 1. Step 2, the fastest way to help yourself is to help someone else. And that is so hard when you are looking around thinking, I don't have anything, right? You can smile at someone. That's helpful. Maybe no one's been nice to them. Maybe no one's even seen them. Maybe they're feeling invisible. Maybe they're feeling unseen or unheard or unvalued or unworthy. And when you walk down the street, you smile at them. And that's the first and only time someone has seen them or acknowledged them in God only knows how long.
Ellie, let me just say, this has been, we've got how many episodes now? We've already filmed, not all of them are out, 25?
About 25. Okay.
This is my favorite one.
Oh, thank you.
I genuinely have really loved this conversation. I think there's a ton of value here. I think there's a lot of people that are going through hard times, and I think just shifting people's paradigm, that mindset and that gratitude is so true. And mind-body connection is real. Like, it's so real. Like, I'd love to have you back if you're interested in coming back just to speak on. I'd love to just keep having a couple of conversations about maybe it's a call on gratitude, or maybe it's vision setting, goal setting. You've done so many things in your life that I'm just intrigued the way that you can communicate and convey. What's your Instagram or social? How can I get in touch with you? And I'm going to follow you like right now. So
yeah, Ellie Shefi.
Okay, beautiful. Can you spell that for the audience?
ELLIESHEFI. Ellie Shefi.
Beautiful. All right, I think we got you followed. So I got one last question for you, and I'm willing to bet that you've thought about this because of your traumatic experiences and death dates. If you were to pass away tomorrow and the odds weren't defied, what would you want to be remembered for?
That I was made to change the world, and that I lived every single day fully and as a force for good, determined to give a voice to the voiceless, to help people know that you are not your scars, you're not what's happened to you, you're not anything external, you're this amazing, incredible divine being that has value, that has purpose, that has meaning, that is worthy, that is loved, that is loving. And so every single day, living as a force for good, that I was made to change the world, that I lived into that purpose, that I accepted that calling, and that I answered the call.
Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with your friends. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, a new episode drops. Also, you can be on the show. If you go to invite.millionairecreator.com, you can apply. It's free, and you may have a chance to be on the show with me, Colin with Colin. Be sure to share this video, and if you do, we may reshare your post. Also, if you enjoy entrepreneurship just like I do, I would encourage you to go to our new website, millionairecreator.com. We have some incredible products from steel merchandise, canvas, apparel, and education courses, ebooks, and physical books. So guys, millionairecreator.com, check it out for yourself. I know you'll love it, especially for all of those entrepreneurs out there. Think of me as a recruiter, and I'm building an army of millionaires in this Millionaire Creator journey. I'm Colin Wayne, your instructor from Millionaire Creator, and someone that has been to war, that's battle tested, bootstrapping my business to over 150,000 square feet, and the fastest growing company in the state of Alabama. For the first time ever, I'm here to reveal my tactics and strategies that work in today's state, not something that worked years ago. Boot camp starts today. Stop wasting time. Click that link.
Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it, quitting was never an option. Exhausted,